There were no veterans hospitals. They had some benefits, but it was extremely hard. And we've had how many wars, I can't tell you since then, and there are still issues dealing with veterans. These are people we pay to go, as we use the term, in harm's way for our benefit, for the security of the United States. And with me in the studio is a Windwalker, who is the founder of one of the organizations that is filling the gap. Filling the gap. I want to welcome you here. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank your show. You debuted us almost 2 years ago, if you remember.
I remember.
We opened our office downtown, our 1,200 square foot place, and now we're moving into a 4,000 square building so that we can do more. So the need is high. The need is very, very high.
The need is high. It's so amazing that there should be, I mean, we should have a system, and we don't have a system's not working. Mm-hmm. And the government just doesn't want to pay for it, or we don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, I think it's education. The American veterans are becoming rapidly third-class citizens, and majority. We feed 250 families here in Sacramento, and we're just started another food bank up in Placer County in Auburn. And these are hardworking people, but a majority of them are elderly. These are people in their 60s, 70s, and they're proud, good, hardworking people that pay their rent or their house mortgage, but they'll cut on their food. So we're, as veterans, we're looking out for them, and then we also show them how the VA process is very cumbersome. It's intimidating. And it's been that way for a long time. I was laughing to myself when you said it actually started during the Civil War. They had VA benefits and I still think they have some of the same people running the show. So we need to come out of that process. We need to have humanity, and that's why we do, like no other nonprofit, we take care of not only the veteran but the family. Mm-hmm. And so if we have a dependent that comes to us, a kid or going to school, and say they don't have a lot of resources because they're going to school full time, we give them $500 worth of food a month. Mm-hmm. And that's our way of saying thank you, you're still part of the family. Yeah. And our PTSD groups aren't about discussing combat, but how to overcome that with the families, because they're suffering also. So we use homeopath approach. We have a homeopath MD. We're saving lives. We're not doctors.
I'm sure you are.
But we're having a real impact on the community. The problem I'm having right now is that we have so many services and we have a large need, and we need to educate the public what's going on. Now we're endorsed by Congressman Bear and Ken Cooley. They really help us out the best they can. But it's not about the politicians. Let's face it, their hands are tied.
Yes.
Yeah, let's face it. But it is about the community, and we need to start working as a collaborative in this community. So now we're working with other organizations like High Risk Youth, like Peace Now is a great organization, and Tooth Fairy, the gal with the van. So we're working with them to pull our resources together so that we can help these veterans learn how to come back into the community and be part of the community and not be isolated. And that's one of the problems with the VA is that the first question they ask is, do you suffer from PTSD? Well, if they check yes, then they're not entitled to have a gun. They'll take their gun right away if they have a gun. Well, if you're a person that's been carrying that type of weaponry for a few years, you're pretty secure with that. So there's a lot of mixed messages happening. The intake isn't clear, isn't helpful. It's just a bunch of paperwork. We've got to get away from the paper and have not the hand out, but the hand up. So we're doing education, we're doing mock training, we're looking to do, that's why we're looking for housing. Housing is the hardest thing, and then you got to compete with other nonprofits that are making a lot of money, and those are the big wig people, always getting the same amounts of money, and that's political. I'm learning how to be a politician, let me tell you. And it's not a healthy process, but it's one you have to go through.
Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting you should talk about PTSD, because I did a play about 4 years ago called Medal of Honor Rag. It was written about PTSD during the first war in Afghanistan. And, I called the head of the VA in Marin and the VA in Sacramento, and I asked them what percentage of guys coming back had PTSD. One told me 100%.
Well, he's probably trying to, it's not 100%, but it's very high. And the VA is saying 1 of 4, and I don't agree with that. Like right now, the VA is saying 28% of the homeless here in Sacramento are veterans. Well, we know for a fact it's probably 30. And they don't even count people who are sleeping in cars or on couch surfing, as we call it.
Yeah.
The food, 600,000 veterans are on food stamps. Right now, 700,000 veterans in the United States go to prison or jail yearly. It's a phenomenal numbers. And the American public isn't aware of what's going on. And they hear the VA, oh, we're going to change things. Well, I'm sorry, I've been fighting these guys. Now, the people that work at the VA are wonderful people, but it all goes back to the top. And we can't change the way things have been done by just replacing a director or a secretary of the VA. It's not going to work that way. And politicians, you know how they work. You know the term for poly, right? Poly, poly. It's old. Many and ticks is a lot of bloodsuckers.
Yes,
so politics,
absolutely.
yeah.
Politics.
So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Politics.
Yeah. So we need to change that and be a community and start taking power within our communities. So we're asking people to come together, help us, help our veterans. And you know, it's a plea because right now I have more people. We're running out of food when I do the food banks. I have more people to feed than I have food. And we only have so much money that we can delegate to that program. So we're asking churches and nonprofits and
so that's what people can do if they can donate some money. What if I work for a major food processing plant or something like that?
Sure.
If you know somebody who does that, you can contact you.
Right. And tell the people, there's many veterans that you work with. You work in it, or your church. All these organizations are good people. Sacramento has some of the best people. We used to do well when we worked with Raley's and Bel Airs, and now they let no one stand in front of their stores. And so that was our outreach and our donation. We did quite well.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore. So our outreach is at Walmart or Sam's. Well, that lowered our resources really low.
Yeah.
So we're very limited at what we can do. We've got some really hardworking young people that are helping us, and we have a lot of veterans that are working with us. And but like I said, the program is in need to build up. Now we just got a 1,200 square foot building, so that we're going to do a training center, a computer training center there, and we're going to start distributing the food right directly from our program because now it's big enough that we can do that. Yeah.
Windwalker. I'm going to ask you about your ideas about the future of all of this. Are we going in a positive direction with it?
I honestly don't think we are. I think we need to start going back to the old days of community service, people looking out for each other. If you want to make a donation and you really care about giving back, keep it in your community. Don't give it to an international program. And I won't start calling names of bad people, but there's a lot of organizations that the CEOs are making 6 figures. I've been the CEO for this organization 6 years. I don't collect a check. I haven't made a dime. I'm committed to this organization.
That's right.
And that's kind of people that I want working for this organization. But yeah, it's not going to get any better until you change the system. Politicians talk a good story, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, what's getting done? Changing a director is not going to change the VA. Now, they are saying they're doing a lot. You'll see a lot of stuff publicized. I'll say this. There's an organization that says they're helping veterans, but they only do 9/11 veterans. But they're $1 million organization. Everybody knows who they are, and they're something warrior. And yet they're making millions of dollars. All their people are making millions of dollars. But are they feeding people? Are they doing job training? No, none of these things are happening. And it doesn't just affect the veteran, it affects the veteran and their families. We are looking to help the families. Nobody is doing the Vets for Pets program, and we pay for any veterinarian help. If they're going to lose their cat or dog's life, we're there, we pay for that, because that's their therapy.
Windwalker, we got to go.
Okay.
We got about 30 minutes,
All right.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I want to say, if I want to contact you, how do I do that?
ForgottenWarrior.org. Call us at 916-533-9811.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Always good to see you.
Always good to see you.
All right, bro.
All right. Just Google Forgotten Warrior and Wham-O. You can contact them and help them. And helped develop this idea called community. See you next week, okay? Livewire.